something and people really listened. So, you know, we're going to miss him. He did a lot of real good work here for his district and for the parish. I was sitting here talking to him about a couple of months ago. It was in the middle of his illness, and there was some kind of contentious issue going on here. And I looked at him and I said, "Are you going to run next time?" And he said, "Absolutely, I love this stuff." So he did love his job here and the service that he did. I'd like to welcome you all to, I'm not a very good ad-lib prayer. So I'd like to invite you all to, if you would, you're all standing now, so I'd like for us to say the Lord's Prayer, please. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, now and forever. Amen.
We will have the Pledge of Allegiance by our junior council person for the month, Brooke Lebreton. Brooke.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
As most of you know, we lost one of our colleagues last Sunday, and I know he's going to be missed by everybody up here on the council. His wife is in attendance tonight, and I would like for her to stand and somewhat be recognized, because there's always a good woman behind every guy like Dennis that does a good job. Lisa. Thank you.
I'd like to say that I'm sure I'm out of decorum, but
Come over to the microphone. Turn it on.
is it on? Okay. I'm usually loud enough. I don't need a mic. I wanted to say that the first time Dennis said he wanted to run for election, he said he wasn't sure if he knew enough people to elect him. And his friends convinced him otherwise. And he looked at me and he said, "I'll only do it if you say it's okay." And I said, "I think you need to go for it." And from the very minute that he took the first oath, he loved what he did. And there were many times when I had said, "Oh, this is driving me crazy." But I'm telling you, Dennis took calls 7 days a week, all hours of the day and night, and very rarely ever said he couldn't meet with someone exactly when they wanted to meet. That was 6:30 in the morning, 6:30 at night, 10 at night, whatever. He loved the people in his district, and he loved working for this parish. And when he wanted to go for re-election again, I said, absolutely, there's no question. And he was elected again. But he talked so highly of you group of ladies and gentlemen that he works with, and the staff, of course, everybody, Miss Pat, and he just loved what he did. And the outpouring of affection and the number of people who attended, especially last night, the wake, was overwhelming. The number of, I think I saw everybody that's in this room just about was here last night. And I know without any doubt that Dennis looked down and was not in tears of joy, but tears of being humble that his friends loved him and respected him that much. So on his behalf, my behalf, and the behalf of the whole Sharp family, we thank everybody, and I hope that this is not the last time I see all of y'all here. A lot of you have become dear friends, been to our house for several occasions, and I would certainly love for that to continue. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. Brister. Pat, did you want to say something?
Lisa, I want to thank you for being here tonight to give us one last chance to tell you how much we love Dennis and how much he meant to all of us. We saw the work he did every day, and I know you told me the story, and so did your daughter, and I see you. He was still taking calls from his constituents on his back. He was a true, true gentleman, and I thank you for being here.
Thank you. And I just want to say, I think everybody up here at this table, sitting up here, could tell you all the good things that in working with Dennis. He was certainly very intellectual, very analytical, and he didn't say a lot, as Marty said, but when he said something, everybody listened. And I think, to me, that was the thing that he brought to this council. He knew he could work any kind of a problem we gave him. So he will be sorely missed. As a result of that, though, I know with Lisa here, but we need to make an announcement, and I'm going to do that now because it affects the position. As a result of the passing of Councilman Dennis Sharp, an interim replacement must be appointed. The St. Tammany Parish Charter states that if a vacancy of the council shall be filled by appointment within 15 days after the vacancy occurs by a person meeting the qualifications for that office by a favorable vote of the majority of the remaining members of the council. Resumes for persons interested in being considered to fill the interim position must be submitted to the council administrator, Donald Henderson, no later than close of business 4:30 p.m. on Monday, June 5th, 2017. A special council meeting will be called one evening next week to announce the appointment. And with that, I'm going to tell you, we will meet the state guidelines and our charter guidelines in making this appointment. So that being said, I would ask the clerk to call the roll.
Mr. Dean? Here. Mr. Sharp?
Once again, I'm going to ask everybody to pause and say a moment of prayer. Once again, I would tell you that although Dennis is not here physically to answer roll call tonight, I know he's here in spirit working with us. Continue the roll.
Mr. Thompson? Mr. Lorino?
Here.
Mr. Toledano?
May our brother rest in peace. God bless Dennis Shaw, President.
Ms. Blanchard? Present. Mr. Stefanczyk?
Present.
Mr. Tanner?
Here.
Mr. Groby?
Here.
Mr. Canulet? Mr. Belisario?
Here.
Ms. O'Brien? Mr. Bender?
Here.
Mr. Smith?
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman.
Madam
Mr. Chairman.
President,
Excuse,
Yes, Mr. Bender.
if I may, Mr. Chairman, just on the last topic with it being, and I guess I would think the newspapers are going to put out about the deadline. When Don receives the resume, I guess it'll be going to Don. Don will get them pretty quickly so we can review anybody that turns it in. And I'm assuming, Mr. Chairman, that if any of us want to meet with any of the members, a coffee or whatever, we would be able to do so.
I have no problem with you meeting with anybody. I may have formal interviews, at least by some group. We can't have more than 7 in a meeting,
Right.
as you well know. So I'm looking at probably a group of about 5 people to at least make sure that we get all the resumes reviewed and make sure that we can come up with a recommendation to this council. The council then can pick from anybody that they want who submits a resume.
But any of us obviously could meet with any or all of the candidates if we would like to.
You know, I would give, I'll try to set that up so we can have something like that.
I appreciate that very
Okay,
much. Thank you.
Okay? presentation, proclamation, St. Tammany Parish Government Employee of the Month. Ms. Brister.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As always, it is the time to introduce our Employee of the Month. This has been a great program, and I think all of our employees have appreciated the recognition for the hard work. So tonight, our Employee of the Month is Kent Rickey. Whereas Kent Rickey has been a devoted St. Tammany Parish employee for Tammany Utilities as a utility line location crew leader since 2010, and whereas he takes great pride in his work, and whereas his expertise and knowledge of the sewer and water system and his attention to detail have been invaluable to St. Tammany Parish. And whereas Kent and his crew inspect new lines being installed by contractors that will eventually be taken into the parish system, Kent and his crew ensure that the lines are properly installed before the parish accepts them, saving the parish the expense of costly repairs due to poor installation. And whereas Kent is an overall outstanding and exemplary employee, we are proud and fortunate to have him on our team and thank him for his service to not only St. Tammany Parish, but also for his military service and his service in Vietnam. Now, therefore, I, Patricia Brister, President of St. Tammany, do hereby recognize the hard work and accomplishment of Kent Rickey as Employee of the Month for June 2017. And I encourage all employees of St. Tammany Parish to thank him for his contributions and commitment to St. Tammany Parish, in addition to his service to our country. Thank you very much. Thank you all very much. Let's get a picture. Wait. Let me. Okay. There we go. Thank you so much for all you do. We appreciate you. And this is for you. Here you go. Thanks, Greg. Thank you, Greg. Appreciate it.
I just wanted to take the opportunity just to thank you all, Ms. Pat and the council for doing this. Kent really does work tirelessly. We have contractors all over the place. Obviously, Tammany Utilities has hundreds of miles of water and sewer line. We have contractors all over the place, tapping into them, constructing them. He's out putting them that they're going to be hours at one time, so he's out there inspecting them, making sure that everything is done correctly. And just one thing that I always want to say is that it's a correct description that he's tireless. I was driving down the interstate one day, and we have a line kind of near the Piccadilly where you get off the I-12 and go to the 19. There's a large ditch there, and I saw him jump the whole ditch with his line locating stuff. And so he, in the middle of summer, and I tell you, he never stops, and he really is an example of all the employees, even the young guys over at Tammany Utilities. The thing is, if Kent can get out there and do it, and he's doing it, you've got to get out there too. So, thank you.
Thank you. Next item is introduction of junior council member for June, Brooke Lebreton. Mr. Bender.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members of the council and the public, it's my privilege to every several months or so to try to select a very good, worthy young person in our community to come here and experience a little bit of being a council member. And at the junior type level, where they're old enough to remember and hopefully won't run against me when they hit 18, you know what I mean? We got an agreement on that? Okay, all right. I'm good then. We'll continue then. So St. Tammany Parish Government Certificate of Recognition formally recognizes Ms. Brooke Lebreton for serving as junior council member at our June 1st, 2017 council meeting, signed by our parish president, Ms. Patricia Brister, and by myself, Jerry Bender, Councilman, District 12. And so, Brooke, this is for you. And you have your pin. A little bit about Brooke. Brooke just turned 12. She will be going into 7th grade at St. Margaret Mary, where she attends school in Slidell. She is a straight A student. I did try to tell her that an occasional C is fun, but not enough laughter on that one, folks. That's better. Okay. But she said, no, I'm going for straight A's. So she wants to be a doctor when she grows up, and she'd like to be a dermatologist. So just everybody will know, her mom is a doctor, and her mom's here tonight in the very back row. Miss Leberton, would you raise your hand or stand up? Okay. She's a pediatrician. And then, of course, we have our parish-wide famous doctor sitting right here. Dr. Preston, our coroner. So we wish Brooke the best. And Brooke, thank you for agreeing to be here tonight and be our junior council member. Her favorite food, and this is no, I kid sometimes, if you all know, but her favorite food is like cheddar cheese soup with broccoli in it, which I like as well. So congratulations, Brooke. Okay.
Is John Raymond here? I haven't seen him. He was the next presentation. He's not going to be here tonight? Okay. I'm going to ask that we move up appeals. Mr. Toledano.
No, I mean, I ask that we move up all the appeals, we can dispose of them very quickly.
Thank you. I move that we move up those appeals for purposes of quick disposal, all the appeals numbering 3 on the agenda.
There a second?
I second it, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Lorino. And for those of you that came tonight to address these appeals, we wanted to do this early in the meeting so that you didn't have to wait here a long time. So I'm going to turn it back over to Mr. Toledano. You have the first appeal.
Thank you, Mr. Stefanzi. The first appeal is one that...
Oh, I'm sorry. Stop a minute.
Pardon me.
We do have to vote to move them up. By the way, we are operating without a vote. You will not see by, where is the whole thing going? You will not see the votes as we cast them. We still need a new system here, and that hopefully will be in for our July meeting. They've been running the cables the past few weeks, and we will have a system that tallies the votes again and does everything for us like we had been. So we have to take a roll call or whatever we have to do to get a determination of the votes. Okay.
Motion is unanimous, 2 absent.
Thank you. Now, Mr. Toledano.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Stefanzi. The first appeal involves a piece of property that has been on the appeal section for a couple of prior meetings. It involves property in the vicinity of Versailles subdivision, and the representative of the developers, Mr. Saucier, is present in the audience. Additionally, I have received an email from the representatives of the Versailles homeowners group, which is taking the lead in negotiating on behalf of the homeowners. We think that agreement is close to fruition, but both parties are asking for some additional time. Based upon that, I would move that the matter be postponed.
Till next month, right?
I'll second it, Mr. Chairman.
Seconded by Mr. Lorino. Any discussion? Please vote with your lights.
Motion is unanimous, 2 absent.
Mr. Lorino.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, appeal number 2 and number 3 are in the same area, Boshin subdivision in District 4. we're all ready to move forward on this appeal, but we had a mail issue, an apparent mail issue, where one of the parties did not receive the notice that it would be at this meeting, and they were willing to move forward also, but I think in order to give everyone an opportunity to try to discuss this a little bit further, I would like to ask the council to appeal just go ahead and vote to postpone appeal number 2 and number 3 and move it to next month's meeting.
Motion by Mr. Lorino to do the motion for appeal number 2 and appeal number 3 in total. Seconded by Mr. Thompson. Any discussion on the motion to postpone? Please vote.
Motion is unanimous, 2 absent.
Okay. Back to the front of the agenda. All items not pulled from the consent calendar are automatically approved in whole by 1 vote. Items pulled from the consent calendar are discussed and voted upon individually. And I'm going to ask if anyone on the council, Mr. Dean, do you have any to pull? Mr. Thompson? Mr. Lorino? Mr. Toledano? Ms. Blanchard?
No, sir. I'm going to move up 5,800.
Yeah, we're going to do that next. Mr. Tanner? No, sir. Mr. Groby? Mr. Belisario? Ms. O'Brien? No, sir. Ms. Bender?
No, sir.
Mr. Smith?
Did you announce the items that were going to be pulled already, Steve?
I haven't yet.
Okay, I have nothing.
We have 2, ordinance calendar number 5924 for ordinances for introduction, and resolution number 2, C4808. I'm going to go ahead with this. I was going to do something else earlier, but let's pull those 2 and need a motion to adopt the consent calendar. Motion by Mr. Dean, seconded by Mr. Tanner. Any discussion? Please vote.
Motion is unanimous, 3 absent.
So the first item is ordinance for introduction, calendar number 5824, ordinance amending the official parish zoning map to reclassify parcel land from NC4 to HC2, Ward 9, District 11. Mr. Hernandez. Okay.
Thank you. Caller Hernandez. This ordinance and the motion under discussions and other matters are related, and both contain the same error. If you look at the title of the ordinance in the first whereas, you will see that it says NC4. It describes it as Neighborhood Industrial District. It should be Neighborhood Institutional District. And the same error occurs under discussions and other matters. So that needs to be changed. Industrial doesn't belong there. It's institutional. If I could, I would like to, and depending on whether you want me to wait until the end of the meeting under discussion and other matters, of course, this ordinance, which is a little unusual, but it has been done in the past, it has been introduced prior to it, the Zoning Commission taking this matter under consideration. So I don't know if, you know, certainly based on the motion that's at the end of the agenda, that this ordinance, even though it will presumably be introduced this evening, hopefully with the corrected title, will lie over several, at least 2 months, because of the fact that the Zoning Commission needs to make its recommendation to the Parish Council, and of course the ordinance was introduced first. Of course, one of the other things that it does too is that it waives, although it doesn't appear anywhere on here or in the motion, the fees that would be associated with this. And I guess my question is, and I was here for the Agenda Review Committee, and the parish president talked about, the council looking at ways to increase revenues and reduce costs. Certainly one of the methods to increase revenues would be for the existing fees that are presently on the books to all be adhered to. And certainly the fees that are associated with this ordinance, for your information, is $416.83 according to my calculation. So those fees will not be collected, and hopefully, and I keep saying this every time I speak on this subject, this will be the last time, and maybe in the future we will seriously consider not waiving any fees and adhering to the fees that are presently on the books. Thank you.
Mr. Hernandez, this is in my district, and I normally don't. I have never stood up and asked people to, not have to pay the fees if they want to rezone. We did a lot of research on this back in 2008 when the comprehensive rezoning was done. This piece of property, and I think Sydney can validate this piece of property was up for changing of zoning, and the owner came and asked that it remain the same, and has the emails, we have the emails to back it up, where he was told that would be changed and be voted on, and it never was. And the unfortunate part of that is now we're here, and by the way, this property was HC2 before this, before the comprehensive rezoning. And
C2.
so during that, he got
HC2.
changed, and he went to Mr. Hamway and asked Mr. Hamway to change it back, and was told that it would, and emails were sent to get that done, and apparently it didn't happen. So I have a hard time telling that guy he has to pay to have his property rezoned again, because we did that, the comprehensive rezoning we did, but he was told that it was corrected. So, and the emails are there to validate it. That's the only reason why I would ask that this not be a cost to him to get it turned back to where he thought it was. And by the way, he was operating a business there, and it is on the highway. So that's what I just wanted you to know why I'm doing.
Thank you.
Thank you. Need a motion to introduce? Motion by Mr. Bender, seconded by Mr. Belisario. That's it. Resolutions. A resolution selecting a newspaper as the parish official journal pursuant to the provisions of Louisiana Revised Statutes 43-140, bid number 010-07-1729-2. Okay, motion to approve. Motion by Mr. Tanner, seconded by Mr. Groby. Any discussion? This is primarily allowing this to go to the farmer, who has been the lowest bid for the last, I don't know how many years, probably longer than I've been on this council. Any further discussion? Please vote.
Motion is unanimous, 2 absent.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
can you maybe turn your microphone up a little bit?
One, two, three. Is that better? Thank you. I turned it up a while ago, so okay. I'm just, instead of pulling up 5800 AA, I'm going to go through the first ordinance. Ordinance count number 5789, ordinance to establish a no parking zone on McIntyre Road and on Stella Lane, Ward 6 and 10, District 6. Motion by Tanner to adopt, seconded by Maureen O'Brien. Any discussion? Please vote. Clear the lights, please. Thank you.
I'm missing one vote. Motion is unanimous, 2 absent.
Thank you. Next item is ordinance count number 5800 AA, ordinance to amend the St. Tammany Parish Code of Ordinance, Chapter 2, Administration, Article 3, Parish Council to make changes relatively thereon. Before, I'm going to bring this, ask somebody to put this on the floor, a motion to adopt. Motion by Mr. Toledano, seconded by Mr. Lorino. I'm going out to the front mic. Mr. Smith, will you join me? Ms. O'Brien? Ms. Blanchard? And Mr. Toledano. Before we begin discussion of this tonight, I just first of all want to thank these people, Mr. Smith for chairing a communications work group. The rest of the people up here worked on that communications work group. But we also had 4 other people that I want to recognize tonight for giving their time and effort to helping with this. And as you know, most of the people know, in January, the very first meeting I had somebody removed from the chambers. And some people thought it was good, some people thought it was bad, and we got a lot of emails saying, we don't like that, you need to change your rules. Because I was abiding by what I figured the rules were. So we put together this group to change the rules, or at least review them and make any modifications that we deem necessary. And the 4 people that we had, and I think 3 of them are here tonight. I don't see Miss Harrington. But I want to call them up here. Carl Hernandez. Carl is, those of you, Carlos Hernandez, I'm sorry. Carlo has been here every meeting that's held in this chambers. He's here, whether it's planning, zoning, you name it, and he's here at every council meeting. Would you come up, Carlo? And what I want to do is present each of you with a certificate of appreciation. And it says, St. Tammany Parish Government Certificate of Appreciation. St. Tammany Parish wishes to appreciate Carlo Hernandez for providing his time, expertise, and knowledge of parish government while participating on the communications work group. The work group developed proposed changes to the St. Tammany Parish Council guidelines and operating procedures. This certificate of recognition was unanimously approved by the St. Tammany Parish Council on the 1st of June, 2017. Carlo, I appreciate the staff here. I appreciate your input and help. No, staff here. Next one goes to Mr. Jeff Shane. Mr. Shane has been in front of this council probably more than any other person in the parish. And he knows our operating rules. He probably knows our zoning rules more than most of the councilmen do. But he had great input into this from his point of view. And Mr. Shane, I want to thank you for being part of this today. And the last one that I have that is here tonight, I'm going to tell you, Jan Harrington was on the work group. Jan represented the League of Women Voters, and we will get her a certificate as well. The last one goes to Marcia Davis. And Marcia, if you'll come up here. Marcia is a retired teacher from Southeastern Louisiana University. The day after the meeting, she sent me an email, and she said, I don't like what you did. And I said, okay, join the crowd. There's a lot of people who didn't. But she said something else. everybody else condemned what we were doing, or I had pros and cons, but anybody that was opposed to what I did, all they did was, badmouth me and everything else, and that's fine. She said, I don't like it, I think it needs to be changed, and I'm willing to help you change it. So I called her the next day and said, okay, you're willing to help, will you serve on this work group? And she said I would be glad to. So she brought very good insight into it and kept it straightened out on the committees or on the work group as we went. Marcia, thank you. And I need Miss Brister up here too. Come on up here. I guess I want her in the picture, that's for sure. And last but not least, before we have the picture, I want the three people that we have brought up here, if you have a few words you want to say. Jeff, you got anything?
No, sir.
I know you want to say something, right?
First of all, I'd like to thank Mr. Sponsik for inviting me to participate in the communications work group. It truly was a very, very positive, productive, and respectful, most of all respectful experience. And I appreciate the opportunity to be able to give back to my community.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Carla, you want to say anything?
I'll wait till the audience comes up.
Okay. Ms. Brister would like to say something.
Yes, I would like to say thank you to all the participants. So often we do get those complaints, but with no remedies in sight. Thank you for coming forward, and thank you all for helping us get a better product in the end. We appreciate your service. Thank you.
Everybody squeeze in together.
Real close.
Thank you. Thanks, Steve, for doing that.
Thank you.
Thank you again.
Oh,
Very good experience.
glad you participated. We have a motion on the floor to adopt ordinance calendar number 5800 AA, and I'll open it up for discussions from the floor. Is there anybody who wants to speak? Mr. Carlo? How many cards we got? 2. Yep. Carlo, you're,
Carlo
Mr. Goodwin, I'll let you go ahead and speak.
Carlo motioned me up, so I'll take advantage of that. Thank you very much for allowing me to speak. You already know my views on the individual issues, and I'd like to speak just very briefly to a larger issue. Probably you and everybody in this room has a similar concern that we have an unusually low voter participation rate. With that in mind, the things that you do vote on or not vote on tonight, please try to keep in mind how this affects the voter. We're already seeing with the low voter turnout, and then they come to some of these meetings, and it's something between being chided or not treated well or shut off too fast, and that's the kind of thing that discourages citizen participation, and this can indirectly show up at the polls that we ask people to participate in, but then they don't. However you vote, I just hope that you would keep that in mind. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Goodwin. And Mr. Goodwin, I know you sent emails to several of us, and I do appreciate that. I hope that this ordinance addresses most of the things that you talked about. There are some things that I will discuss with you later, especially about before and after meetings, things like that. Because most of I know you pointed out, most of these places that have this discussions, most of them do it either before the meeting starts or after the meeting adjourns.
Correct.
One of the two. They don't do it during the portion of the meeting. And we may want to consider something like that, but but the ordinance, we didn't have that kind of input before. So we did address most of the things that were brought up by you and other people as we went through this process.
And I would say, Mr. Fangsley, that on balance, I think you guys did a good job. So I appreciate that.
Thank you. Carlo?
Thank you. I was going to ask for additional time, but I thought, no, I'm not going to do that. because it was going to take me a while to congratulate, all the individuals who participated in the process. And I just want to point out something that's going to get me in trouble. I hope you counted that there were 5 council members that were on the committee. One person who probably knows me better than most of the rest of you, the legal counsel, was also a voting member on there. So there were 6 from if you want to call it the council side, and then there were the 4 citizens. And clearly, in order for these things to get adopted or the recommendations to get done, at least one, if not more, council members needed to agree on the things. And it was not easy. And I certainly, for one, was among some who wanted additional time. Now, the time that's on there, has gone from 5 minutes to 10 minutes, and obviously a dramatic jump. I had suggested even more time than that, and others had also suggested additional time. That did not get enough votes. The rebuttal portion went from 2 minutes to 3 minutes, and a possibility of an additional 2 minutes in case there are questions from the council on there. So that time also increased. And then the time that's permitted, even though it's a little confusing, I think, in the way it's drawn up, for any other matters, that you get 3 minutes as opposed to the 2 minutes that you had before. All good things. The one thing, and I guess, and I know that there are certain council members who agree with this, is the fact of matters that are not on the agenda, having that come up. I think that's something that hopefully we'll see how this works, and to see the process. And I hope that people will take advantage of the fact that there will be a process in place to do that, and hopefully people will take advantage of that. And I certainly hope that the council members, even though if there's one negative vote, then it's not going to be considered, which is a little troubling, but hopefully the council members will be very understanding in the fact that if people want to be heard regarding a particular matter, that they will be allowed to do that. I won't talk about the other matters that some of which I couldn't get one additional vote to do, but there were other things that I had suggested for changes, but unfortunately there were a couple of them that I was apparently couldn't get one other person to do that. So I will leave it with the fact that I think that the improvements that have been made here are dramatic improvements, and I would recommend and hope that the council will in fact adopt this ordinance. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Stefanski, may I have a moment, please?
Well, you made that just right at the 3-minute mark, Carlo. I appreciate that. Before we go any farther, we do have an amendment that we need to make on this, and I would like to get that amendment out there. And it's a clarification. It's on section 2-031-03, council committees, and it says there shall be the following standing parish council committees: agenda review committee. The committee will review the agenda for each regular council meeting and make recommendations to the full council on those agenda items it elects. The addition is the committee may also hear for discussion purposes only matters which are pertinent to parish government and which have been placed on its agenda by a committee member, as well as upon written request by an interested person delivered to the council administrator by 9 a.m. the Tuesday prior to the committee meeting, such other time and/or matters are relevant to St. Tammany Parish business upon unanimous vote of the members present. And this hopefully will take into consideration some of the things I know that there's been a lot of discussion on the unanimous vote situation. I think Mr. Hand has the state law which prohibits us from allowing things not on the agenda to be brought before this council without a unanimous vote. That's the bottom line, and you have them, if you would read that, Mr. Hand. There's 2 sections.
Yes, I would. The first says, each item on the agenda shall be listed separately and described with reasonable specificity. Before the public body may take any action on an item, the presiding officer's designee shall read aloud the description of the item, except as otherwise provided in section DD. The next section, CC, upon unanimous approval of the members present at a meeting of a public body, the public body may take up a matter not on the agenda. Therefore, if it's not on the agenda, in order to open the agenda to consider an item, you need by state law a unanimous vote.
I wanted that clarified because we had a lot of discussion on that in the meetings, and now we have that amendment up, and hopefully it'll take care of part of this that we are looking at. So I want somebody to adopt the amendment.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Toledano, seconded by Mr. Lorino. Any discussion on the amendment? Seeing none, please vote.
Motion is unanimous, 2 absent.
Okay, we have the motion on the floor as amended. I'm going to open the floor up for now discussion from other council members.
Mr. Stefanczyk, thank you very much.
Mr. Bender.
Without any prompting by Mr. Smith, I should say, I do want to say to the people in the audience and our other fellow council members that TJ did a terrific job moving that meeting along. We had a very short time. The issues were somewhat complicated. They came to us through an unpleasant experience, what I think has now been converted into a very positive action by the council. And as a part of that committee, I commend Mr. Smith for the job he did on each and every one of those meetings. And I think surely all of us who were in that room, TJ, believe that you had a great deal to do with making that a successful undertaking.
Thank you. Thank you, TJ.
Did I get all those words right that you gave me, TJ?
Send a check to
Mr. Bender.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, Mr. Toledano used a word that I will repeat because I think it's appropriate, and two words, he said, 3 words. An unpleasant experience converted to a positive. And Mr. Chairman, I always hope that I can live up to this. It's what we've espoused for our children and our family. And I want to say, in fairness, I was the most outspoken critic at that meeting, as you know, and as my colleagues know. Others joined in behind me, but I made a comment and I said, if I had it to do all over again, I would vote for the chairman again. That's not to pat myself on the back, but I felt that way because I felt like we were going to improve. But Mr. Chairman, I want to express my gratitude to you for naming the work group or committee, whichever you chose to call it. Work group, made up of good council members and members of the public, because you showed the willingness to take a problem and work towards a solution. And I think you're to be commended for taking your leadership forward on that. And I just wanted to personally commend you for that. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Bender. Mr. Smith?
Very, very briefly, I would say that doing the people's business here and what we've been chosen to do by the public is a serious undertaking. And when we have an opportunity to make sure that, as the gentleman spoke about earlier, that the citizens of this parish and everywhere else can have free and open access to government. It is critically significant, and I think that the group that was put together by Steve, it was a great group to work with. I did not feel any tension at all as far as being able to navigate them through this process to come up with what we've come up with. And at the end of the day, I think that we have something that the entire parish can be proud of. Is it perfect? No. But it is a step in the right direction. And we want to thank you all for allowing us the opportunity to serve in that capacity.
Anyone else? Motion on the floor is to adopt the amended ordinance calendar number 5800 AA. Please vote with your lights.
Motion is unanimous, 2 absent.
Thank you. Ordinance calendar number 5801, ordinance establishing a no parking zone on Sarah Street, 4-E-73, Ward 4, District 5. Motion by Mr. Toledano, seconded by Mr. Thompson. Any discussion? Please vote.
Motion is unanimous, 2 absent.
Ordinance calendar number 5802, ordinance establish a no parking zone on portions of Clearwood Drive and East Forest Drive, Ward 8, District 8.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Belisario, seconded by Ms. Bryan. Any discussion? Please vote.
Need one more vote, please. Motion is unanimous, 2 absent.
Ordinance calendar number 5803, ordinance to amend Parish subdivision ordinance relative to the administrative approval of minor subdivisions north of the urban growth boundary line, referred to the Planning Commission, 5417.
So we need to postpone. We haven't got it back.
Is it gone there yet, or do we have to do this?
We have to either postpone or something.
It has been referred. We'll be bringing it back to you in a couple of months.
So we'll need
So you need to postpone this.
for 2 months.
Postpone until we hear from the planning and zoning committee.
Indefinite postponement until we hear from the Planning and Zoning Committee. Okay. Second to that? Second by Ms. Blanchard. Any discussion? Please vote.
Motion is unanimous, 2 absent.
Ordinance calendar number 5804, establishing an no-through truck zone on Crennel Road, Ward 7, District 7.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Groby, seconded by Ms. O'Brien. Any discussion? Please vote.
Motion is unanimous, 2 absent.
Ordinance calendar number 5805, amending official parish zoning map to reclassify 1 acre from A4 and HC2 to HC2, Ward 9, District 11.
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Blanchard, seconded by Mr. Thompson. Any discussion? Please vote.
Need one more vote, please. Motion is unanimous, 2 absent.
Ordinance calendar number 5806, ordinance amending the official parish zoning map to reclassify 12.03 acres from A1 to A1A, Ward 1, District 3. Motion by Mr. Thompson, seconded by Mr. Toledano. Any discussion? Please vote.
Motion is unanimous, 2 absent.
Ordinance calendar number 5807, ordinance amending the official parish zoning map to reclassify 5 acres from A2 to A2 and RO, Ward 6, District 11.
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Blanchard, seconded by Mr. Thompson. Any discussion? You got to reset. Please vote.
Motion is unanimous, 2 absent.
Ordinance calendar number 5808, amending the official parish zoning map to reclassify 13,300 square feet from A6 to A4A, Ward 9, District 13. Motion by Ms. Blanchard, seconded by Mr. Tanner. Any discussion? Please vote.
Motion is unanimous, 2 absent.
Ordinance calendar number, somebody's happy. Ordinance calendar number 5809, amending the official parish zoning map to reclassify 4 acres from A2 to PF1, Ward 2, District 2. Motion by Mr. Thompson, seconded by Mr. Dean. Any discussion? Please vote.
I need 2 more votes, please. Okay, I need 1 more vote then, please.
Everybody vote?
Motion is unanimous, 3 absent.
Okay. Ordinance count number 5810, amending the official parish zoning map to reclassify 8,306 square feet from A6 to A4A, Ward 9, District 13.
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Blanchard, seconded by Ms. O'Brien. Any discussion? Please vote.
Motion is unanimous, 3 absent.
Ordinance calendar number 5811, amending the official parish zoning map to reclassify 2.31 acres from A2 to A2 and MHO Ward 6, District 11. Motion by Mr. Lorino, seconded by Mr. Tanner. Any discussion? Please vote.
Motion is unanimous, 2 absent.
Ordinance count number 5812, ordinance to amend the 2016 operating budget amendment number 17. Motion by Mr. Tanner, seconded by Mr. Lorino. Any discussion? Reset. Please vote.
Motion is unanimous, 2 absent.
Ordinance calendar number 5813, ordinance authorizing the parish president to enter into a servitude agreement with Washington St. Tammany Electric, Ward 7, District 11. Motion by Mr. Thompson, seconded by Mr. Lorino. Any discussion? Please vote.
Need 1 more vote, please.
Somebody not voted?
There it is. Motion is unanimous, 2 absent.
Did your junior council person go home? And she left you there to take care of business? Yeah. Okay. Ordinance calendar number 5814, ordinance to authorize the parish president to extend the lease to the State of Louisiana Department of Environmental Quality. Motion by Mr. Tanner, seconded by Ms. O'Brien. Any discussion? Please vote.
Chairman, I have a quick comment.
Okay.
Ms. Pat, are we getting any extra sales tax out of the Department of Environmental Quality in this lease?
We get a lease payment.
Can we add a cent to that?
We can try.
An inside joke.
I know.
We done?
Please vote.
Has everybody voted?
Motion is unanimous, 2 absent.
Ordinance calendar number 5814 to authorize the, oh, wait a minute, I just did that one. Ordinance calendar number 5815, ordinance to declare multiple tax adjudicated properties as surplus, to authorize the parish to proceed with the process for the advertising and sale of such. Motion by Mr. Tanner, seconded by Ms. Blanchard. Any discussion? Please vote.
Motion is unanimous, 2 absent.
Ordinance calendar number 5816, authorizing the parish president to acquire certain right-of-way and servitudes for beneficial use Marsh Creation Project, Ward 8, District 13. Motion by Ms. Blanchard, seconded by Ms. O'Brien. Any discussion? Please vote.
Motion is unanimous, 2 absent.
Ordinance count number 5870, amending and restating ordinance count number 5416, authorizing the parish president to acquire certain right-of-ways and/or servitudes for the Ben Thomas Detention Pond Project, Ward 9, District 14.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Smith, seconded by Mr. Bender. Any discussion?
Two more votes, please. Motion is unanimous, 2 absent.
Ordinance count number 5818 to amend the 2017 operating budget, amendment number 6. Motion by Mr. Tanner, seconded by Ms. O'Brien. Any discussion? Please vote.
One more, please. Motion is unanimous, 2 absent.
Ordinance count number 5819, amending the official parish zoning map to reclassify 2.928 acres from A3 to I2, Ward 9, District 12.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Bender, second by Mr. Belisario. Any discussion? Please vote.
One more vote, please. Motion is unanimous, 2 absent.
Ordinance count number 5820, ordinance to authorize the parish president to acquire certain parcels, right-of-ways, and/or servitudes for drainage improvements at Justice Center West parking lot, Ward 3, District 3. Motion by Mr. Thompson, seconded by Mr. Lorino. Any discussion? Please vote.
Mr. Chair, I have a question.
Question?
Question for the administration. Do we know if the property is going to be donated yet or not? Or we don't know?
We don't know that yet.
Okay, do we have a cost estimate on it for what it would cost if we purchase it?
No, we do not.
Do we have an idea what the property is going for in that area, by chance?
Well, this is not fee. This is just a servitude, a lateral servitude on the side of the church so that we can make some drainage improvements so that the water doesn't back up next to the church.
So we're not buying the property?
No, sir, we are not buying the church.
All right, thank you.
They're not selling.
I don't know, we may need to. Any discussion? Or please vote, I guess.
Motion is unanimous, 2 absent.
Under discussion and other matters, a motion to refer to the zoning commission for recommendation the proposed rezoning of lot 10, Highway 190 from NC4 to HC2, Ward 9, District 11. Mr. Hernandez, do you want to speak on this again? No. Thank you. Need a motion to refer? So moved by Ms. Blanchard, seconded by Mr. Tanner. Any discussion? Please vote.
Thank you.
Put the resolution.
I need one more vote, please. Motion is unanimous, 2 absent.
Before we open the floor for items off the floor, I have an item that we need to bring up for review tonight, and it will be a resolution to authorize a retention of special counsel for a lawsuit filed by Terry Lewis Stevens and Jennifer Frucknight, wife of Ann Craig Riviera. Who made the motion? Mr. Belisario, seconded by Ms. Blanchard. Any discussion on this resolution?
I just have a, Mr. Chairman.
This is to open the agenda, by the way.
Oh, just to open it?
Yeah, take it off the floor and
No,
the agenda.
no, sir, thank you.
Okay. Any further discussion? Please vote. This takes a unanimous vote.
Motion does not pass. 11 yeas, 1 nay. And I need to know who the nay is, please.
Thank you. The person who voted no needs to raise their hand. Thank you, Mr. Roby. As a result of that, I will tell you that it is now 7:15. I'm calling a meeting tomorrow night at 7:30 for that resolution to be put on the agenda, and it will be the sole item be voted upon. So that's 24 hours from now, and I've just given you the 24-hour notice, and I expect the people to be here to vote on that tomorrow night. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Anything else to come before off of the floor? Mr. Dean, Mr. Thompson, Mr. Lorino, Mr. Toledano, Ms. Blanchard, Mr. Tanner, Ms. Groby. Do you have items off the floor? Mr. Belisario?
No.
Mr. Bryan? Mr. Bender? Mr. Smith? Staff have anything to come off the floor? Audience have anything to come off the floor? Seeing none, I declare the meeting adjourned.